Good morning, everybody. Chris Prescott here with Master CDP Studios, bringing you another edition of the podcast on my YouTube channel here. It's been a while since I've done a podcast. I've kind of been busy a little bit, excitement with Destiny 2, and then just taking care of a few other things, working on a couple new songs for my buddy Assassinator over for his YouTube channel, Assassinator Entertainment. A lot of good Nintendo content on there, so if you haven't checked him out and you're a big fan of Nintendo, go over there and give his videos some thumbs up and subscribe to his channel if that's something that you're into. I'm actually making a new song for a new video series that he's going to be recording for his channel pretty soon. It's going to be a pretty cool idea. And then I'm still working on a project that he hasn't really spoke about. Actually, I don't think he has mentioned it publicly as far as details as to what it is, but it's something that I'm excited to, be a part of. I think it's going to be a really good project when it's all said and done. I'm doing a lot of sound work for that project, so it allows me to do something that I love on the side while I still hold down a regular job at a warehouse that I can't stand sometimes. But it's a paycheck, and it's a paycheck until I take off even more with my little studio business. I'm already looking into projects on there's a website called Hit Record. It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, or I forget his name. He's an actor. He's in a lot of movies, Inception, The Dark Knight Rises, just to name a few. But it's a website that he and other people started a long time ago. And it's just a website where people go and collaborate. Some people are doing short films and they need people to maybe do artwork for the short film, or maybe they need to have someone write a song or do voiceovers. So that's actually kind of what originally caught my eye, and I started thinking like, oh, hey, maybe I can do some voiceover work, because ever since I was a kid, I always liked to impersonate, characters, whether it was TV, cartoon characters, from movies, of course, pro wrestling, Stone Cold Steve Austin, even though I suck at Stone Cold's impersonation, but it's still fun to do. That's all it is at the end of the day. And it's like, if you could possibly, work doing something like that you love to do, then why not try it? So that Hit Record, I've already went through that website this morning, and I saved a few projects that had my interest that maybe I can contribute some work to. Basically, that's the whole idea with that website, though, is people go on there to, like I mentioned, put their projects out there for the world to see, and in hopes to have others collaborate and contribute pieces of work for those projects. So yeah, like I said, anything from short films, animations, there's even people on there that they have a song that they started and they want to collaborate with other people to add, instrumental parts or vocals or whatever it may be. So I saved a few of those projects. Just, it allows me to get more hands-on with mixing and mastering in Studio One, which also with Studio One, that's some more things that I plan on doing is the tutorial videos. I just released another one the other day. If you're listening to this podcast and you use Studio One for your digital audio workstation and you do all your recording, I do have tutorials on my channel of how to perform and do certain functions in Studio One. I just recorded one the other day on how to assign your knobs that you have on your controller, how to assign them to certain parameters and to perform certain functions inside Studio One. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out and give it a thumbs up. And then check out the other tutorial videos if you use Studio One, or if you're going to start using Studio One. It's a great program. I love that program. Actually, it's what I'm using to record this podcast on right now, and it works out well for me. But yeah, I'm going to use this, the studio, to do more podcasts. I want to do more live Destiny 2 streams as well. I actually have some plans for projects and my streams and anything that I put on my channel going forward here, or starting next month at least, because I want to start recording more videos before I actually start doing this. But what I want to try to do, my wife and I, we went to a Wines for Canines event. It was a fundraiser event that her shelter was holding, and it was for to raise money for the shelter to help with all the animals there. To hire new staff, new equipment, and just everything, any improvements that they need to make to better assist the animals and make sure that the animals can get adopted. So what I want to try to do from here on out, starting next month, for certain videos, I'll do it like sporadically, randomly. When I do if I do a live stream or even a tutorial or even a podcast, maybe on that video, whatever it is, I'll have a link, a PayPal link for donations for that animal shelter, Animal Friends of the Valley here in Lake Elsinore, California. And I want to have all 100% of the donations going to the animal shelter. It's just because, we were there and a lot of people started donating a lot of money. Like someone donated $2,500, and I was thinking, man, I wish I just had an extra $2,500 that I can give to help animals. And I figured, well, why not just do it this way? Because I know there's a lot of other people out there that care for animals, and I figured if we can get a lot of people to donate for that, that'd be great. It'd be that much better for the animals and help them get adopted, or make sure that they have everything that they need there at the shelter, and for the staff as well, and to hire the new staff that they need. For example, every once in a while they're going to get, or probably more often than not, you're going to get an animal there that's probably has some behavioral issues. And what they want to do is have a staff fully committed to helping those animals, training those animals with the behavioral issues. So then in that point, it would increase their chances of being adopted and not having to stay at the shelter, or, unfortunately getting euthanized because there's no space at the shelter or because of the behavioral problems. So, I just figured it'd be good to start doing something like that, because I love animals and I've always wanted to do something to help animals. So, that I figured if we can get the attention on the shelter and donations, that'd be better for them. And then, of course, I'll, contribute my own money out of my own pocket as well, along with whatever donations we receive when I start putting up the PayPal link next month on some of my videos. So yeah, just look out for that. I'll be putting that on the podcast videos. I'll put them on the Destiny 2 live streams. I'll probably even hold like little mini, like little live events, little stream events, and that'll specifically be for donating for that animal shelter. So I'll announce more of that, in future episodes here. Like I said, I want to start doing that next month. So maybe my podcast that I record next week, maybe I'll start with that one, or a tutorial, or maybe even a live stream soon here. But yeah, so that'll be something good. And then something else that I want to try to start doing too for everybody is, especially if I know there's a lot of people out there that are trying to increase their YouTube video, like the quality of the videos, and then of course they want a bigger audience for their channels. I think that's what a lot of people that come to YouTube that are posting videos, doing their own podcast on here, or a video game review, wrestling review, music review, whatever they're doing. I'm sure the end goal for them is to make it as successful as possible. And of course with that, you want to do everything from video edits, making the videos look cool, or having some cool filters and effects on them, to the sounds. So what I figured I also will try to start doing is, if I'm holding live streams, I might have it where the first 10 people, the first 10 viewers, if you have a YouTube channel and you want, some contributions to your YouTube channel to help out with sound, maybe I can offer, like, for the first 10 people that come into the live stream to watch it, I'll make a custom soundbite for you. Or I'll make a bunch of sound bites, and then I'll just, give you a few for your channel to use on your channel, like for like a notification sound, or, if you just want like some type of sound effect in your video for, if you're going through like reading information or doing a trivia thing or something like that, and you want a little notification sound for every time you do that, or every time something pops up on the screen. I want to start doing that too for you guys. And it's just a way to help each other out. You come to my channel, you subscribe to my channel, And then, you might have a chance that I'm going to donate some sounds to you for you to use on your channel, or maybe even a song. Maybe you want like a 30-second loop, wave loop of a song, so you can have playing on your channel on your videos. I can do that too. So I'm going to look to do that in more of my videos as well on the live streams. Mainly is probably what that's going to be on, where I'm going to be holding the sound giveaways. So I could do sound bites. Maybe I'll do like if you need a voiceover for your channel, anything that you would need, like from an audio engineering perspective, I'll provide to you, and I'm gonna figure out exactly how I'm gonna do that. Whether it's gonna be like the first 10 that get in there, you automatically get it, or maybe the first one to comment in there or something, the first 5 to comment, something like that. But yeah, and then today, of course, with this podcast, this is the first time I'm doing the podcast in a few weeks. I know before in past episodes, I mentioned that once I started getting closer to training for pro wrestling, that I would start maybe chronicling the process, day one and everything. So I figured today I'll mention, as start of that, I'm actually going to be starting boxing classes today. I'm going to go to a local boxing gym here in Lake Elsinore. Did a little research on it. Saw that the owner, the trainer, he was a, I think 10 to 12 year pro. And then, he retired, moved out to Lake Elsinore and opened up his own gym. And apparently it's been doing really well. It's been around for a long time. It's the only boxing gym in Lake Elsinore. And I figured it's going to fit my schedule because, my wife made a good point because of the busy season coming up at my job. I'm going to be working, I could be working 4 11-hour shifts or 5 10-hour shifts. And, it's already a 30-minute drive from my house. So, she made a good point saying maybe I should wait to start pro wrestling school until after that season's over, which is about December, January. That way, because I'm going to be driving a lot if I'm working the 5-10s and, driving that distance already. And then the wrestling schools that I have interest in, which I've already picked one. But the ones that I've had interested in, they're all about the same schedule, Monday and Tuesday. I work Wednesday through Saturday, which, Monday is no problem. But then it's like, I want to do it more than once a week. I don't want to do it just once a week. I'm going to go for the full training. I don't want to do it half-assed. So, and, with the peak season coming up for our job, it's going to make it tough on the car and just, everything else that I need to take care of. Just with all that driving, because then the wrestling school is an hour further in the other direction, so it'd be a lot of driving. And usually when our peak season ends, they offer a lot of voluntary time off every day at that job. So it's like, once that's happening, I'll be able to go as much as I want to. The school that I'm looking into, that I've decided, it's Monday and Tuesday nights. And I believe Wednesdays I work, and I believe Thursday nights. So I want to at least go Monday and then a Tuesday, not have to worry about getting up for work on a Wednesday, which more than likely I'll be able to take the voluntary time off on Wednesdays after our peak season. So that'll just allow me, even if I can go two days a week, that to me would be perfect. And but what I'm going to do until then is I'm going to be taking these boxing classes, this boxing training for the next few months, probably through December, actually. So I'm going to start today, and I'm going to go all the way into December. But the plan for that is because I know with boxing, it's gonna kick my ass. It's gonna get me conditioned for pro wrestling school, my cardio, and that's the one thing that I know I need to improve on. I have decent cardio, but I know it's nowhere probably near the cardio needed for boxing, let alone pro wrestling. So I figured, hey, this would be a good way to get my foot in the door, halfway in the door. At least I'll be conditioned and good on my cardio by the time I get to pro wrestling school, which the school I've decided to go to is SoCal Pro Wrestling School in San Marcos. The other school that I was looking at is Hard Knocks, School of Hard Knocks in Rialto, which I do plan on going there, but right now with my budget, SoCal Pro, they offer a pretty good. It's like joining any MMA gym. It's about $150 or $25 a month, and it's month to month. Versus with the other one, it's $500 right up front. for 20 classes. But I figured, hey, I can start with the SoCal Pro, do that maybe for 6 months, and then have the funds ready so I can go to School of Hard Knocks, because that's where I really, really want to go, and that's where I first was looking at going. But then I found SoCal Pro Wrestling School over here, and I said, oh, you know what, that's going to be a better fit right now for me. It's going to be more manageable, so that's the route I'm going. So yeah, today boxing classes start, and next podcast I'll let you know how that went. Maybe I have a black eye or something. We'll see what happens. But now on to the nerd side of everything. Well, I guess that's still nerdy, but Destiny 2. Let's talk Destiny 2. So I've been playing a lot of that. My wife is probably sick and tired of that crap. Hearing the Destiny 2 load up every day. Just hearing the Destiny 2 soundtrack nonstop, the gunfire nonstop. Hey, you know what? It's part of what I do. I love the soundtracks and sounds in video games. I always get inspiration from it. As you can see, the video. I have a few videos where I do a mock musical score. I just recorded my gameplay footage, and then I muted the music in the game, and I recorded my own musical score for it. And that was a pretty cool idea. A lot of people liked it. So I'm going to start doing more of those. I got to record more footage of Destiny 2. But I like Destiny 2 because it's not just a simple go in there and shoot everything and that's it. You have to use your mind. You have to use a lot of thinking and strategy in that game, especially in the higher level games, the higher level missions and strikes, and especially with the Crucible player versus player, it gets pretty dirty in those games, and you gotta use your thinking, you gotta use your strategies, and it's cool. It's like I said, it's not just a simple shooter. There's more to it. It's more complex. But as you know, if you're a Destiny 2 fan, this week the factions came back: Dead Orbit, Future War Cult, and New Monarchy. And now with them, you're getting tokens. You're pledging your allegiance to one of the factions for the week, and then you're going out and you're gathering. You're gaining tokens. You're completing events, public events. You're doing loot sectors, Crucible strikes. And every time you complete one of those events, you are rewarded a token. Every mode and activity gives you a different amount of tokens. Some will give you 1, some will give you 6, 16, depending on what you do. The raid will give you 16. The heroic public events, I believe, give you 8, if I'm not mistaken. The loot sectors, you go into the sectors, and there's packages that you destroy. And then every time you destroy, you get like 1, I believe you get 1 token. And then you build up enough tokens, and then you go back to your faction, whoever you're aligned with, and you turn in those tokens for rewards and specific loot for those factions. So it's a really cool. I'm glad they added that. It adds more to the game than there already was. A lot of people already complaining, saying there's nothing to do. It's like, well, yeah, there is. You just got to go do it. The public events, I love doing those public events, especially when you activate the heroic event. It just makes it more challenging, and of course, the loot is more rewarding the more challenging the event is. And so that's a good way when you turn that heroic. Like I said, I believe it's 8 tokens that you get for your faction. Strikes, I'm not sure exactly how many you get. And then, like I said, for the sectors, it just depends how many packages are in there to destroy. You get rewarded tokens each time. I actually want to say maybe it was even 2 or 4 for each one that you destroy. It might be 2. And then they added a new, it's almost like a mini public event. It doesn't say public event when you enter it, but it shows the icons up. The icons, I know, sorry, I'm getting nerd talk for those of you that might not be Destiny 2 fans and you're here for the wrestling stuff. Wrestling stuff comes next. This is the Destiny 2 portion. But what they look like on the map, on your radar, they look like, on the HUD, they look like public event. It looks like the public event icon when you see it pop up on your HUD. But they're not public events. What it is it's a little, like I said, it's a mini public event type mode or activity. But what you're doing is you're securing certain points. I believe you're securing about 3 or 4 points, and while you're doing so, high value targets continue to drop down on you. You kill one, another one drops. And you kill one, another one drops. and you complete all 4 of them, you get a token for each secure point that you complete. And then after you complete all 4 of them, they drop a mini boss. You kill him, and then you get some loot, and then you get more tokens in that loot. So those are the that's something that's actually new to the game right now, after the update that they had on Monday, for the faction rally and the reset, the weekly reset. So, and then of course, as you know, you can do your normal weekly challenges that you would do to get the tokens as well for those factions. So, if you have 3 characters, you're going to really benefit from this, because at the end of the week, what's going to happen is if your faction wins the most, I believe it's the most tokens or whatever it may be, or the most, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's like a competition. I want to say it's the most tokens rewarded or turned into the faction is how they're doing it. But whatever faction has the most, whichever faction wins at the end of the week, you're going to be offered a gun to buy for, I believe it's only 1,000 or 10,000 glimmer, versus where if your faction doesn't win, their main gun, their main big rewarded gun, you will buy it, or it's going to be offered to you for 50,000 glimmer. So if your faction wins, you get it, for really, really cheap. If it doesn't, then you have to pay 50,000 glimmer, and then just hope your faction wins next time. But like I was going to mention, if you have 3 characters, you have each of them aligned with a different faction, you're pretty much going to win every time. So that's a good little tip. If you want to get those high-end rewards from your faction, you're probably going to have to make 3 characters. If you want to get it on a weekly basis, you're just going to have to make 3 characters and have each of them aligned with a different faction to ensure that you'll get whatever those loot or whatever reward it is that they're going to offer for you. So, yeah, so a lot of good stuff going on in Destiny 2. Really exciting. Crucible has been fun. Trials of the Nine, we tried that. We got our butts handed to us. But we'll move on from that, because that's all there is to say about that. And now, on to the WWE, the pro wrestling portion of this podcast. So this past weekend, we had WWE No Mercy, which was a Raw exclusive. And there was a very great card, really good card. All the wrestling down the middle was solid. Every match was really good, except for the main event. I didn't see the kickoff show match. I didn't get home in time to catch that, and I wanted to stay live with the No Mercy pay-per-view, so I didn't go back and watch it. All I read was that Elias defeated Apollo Crews, which I like Elias Sansom. I've liked him since day one with the Drifter gimmick. I think it's cool. I wish they would have kind of stayed with what they were originally doing, and how they had him randomly just walking in the backstage area whenever someone was cutting a promo or something, and you suddenly would hear the strum of the guitar, and he'd come walking behind them or something. And they would kind of cut away from whoever they were interviewing and look at Elias walking along and strumming his guitar. And I thought that was cool when they were doing it. But now, thankfully, they've actually been handling him pretty good. He hasn't lost a match yet. And like, because to me, when I see that character, the Drifter, the guy that comes out with the guitar, he sings songs here and there. I mean, obviously, with Honky Tonk Man, he was a success in a different way, but I usually tend to see that as being a gimmick that you're just gonna kind of float in the mid card, and you're gonna lose more than you're gonna win. And he's winning. He's been winning every match since coming up to the main roster. And that's also another weird thing to say, that he, with that character, and I didn't have expectations for him with that character that they gave him, so I didn't even think he was going to be called up to the main roster. As soon as he was, I felt like there were other wrestlers there, that probably could have went up there before him. But at the same time, it's probably because, since they have taken so many wrestlers from NXT to the main roster, a lot of their big names from NXT to the main roster, that's probably why they'd rather take a mid-card guy, someone that's not as huge as, someone that's very popular down in NXT right now, like a like an Asuka, Sami Zayn, that level of popularity. That's probably why they started taking, guys like Elias. Obviously they took Bobby Roode, who's now on SmackDown. But yeah, I was really surprised when he was called up there. I thought it was cool though. It was awesome seeing him first show up on Raw. I really like it, and I hope they actually do more with him and let him be a more serious contender. He could definitely go for the Intercontinental title. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Let him float around in that picture for a little bit. I don't know if Roman's going to win the Intercontinental title or not. I don't think so, even though he's going to have a match supposedly with The Miz next week on Raw. I don't see him winning that though. But I'll get more to Roman later on. But the first match that opened up the card was the No Mercy pay-per-view, was The Miz versus Jason Jordan. Didn't get to see that match until the end of it. Like I said, I just barely got home. And that match was like the last few minutes. The crowd sounded like they were going crazy for it, though. They sounded very engaged. They sounded very, very vocal. As soon as I turned the TV on, it was getting, I can't really say this. It's not really like it means anything anymore, but they were already chanting, "This is awesome." The fans usually chant, "This is awesome" at anything now. I think they do it more for the sake of chanting "This is awesome" or making it about them more than anything. Just being honest with that. Just a lot of the the cool kids, the Bullet Club fans. But yeah, great match. Not great match, but great reception from the crowd when I turned it on. And it was, like I said, it was the last few minutes, and then the Miz, he gets the win with the help of the Miz Taraj, who I think have been great. I think that whole setup with the Miz Taraj has been awesome. I'm really liking what they're doing with those guys, and I think they should keep it up. Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, they're great wrestlers. They're good in-ring workers. If you want any more proof, look at the fact that The Rock and Brock Lesnar both train whenever they're gone away from WWE for so long, and they need to work off that ring rust. They always ask to train with Curtis Axel. So that shows you, how highly they think of him, at least as an in-ring worker. And, I feel he deserves more. And now that him and Bo Dallas are with Miz and the Miz Taraj, I think that's awesome. Because the Miz, he is gold, no matter how you look at it. If you hate him, you love him, he's gold. He's really good at what he does. Great on the mic, good in-ring worker, always engages the crowd, always gets them to turn on him. He'll have them cheering at the beginning of his promos, when he talks about wherever they're at or whatever it may be, or something that they're, that they agree on with him. And then he just flips the script on them and has them booing. It reminds me of Jericho at, I believe it was the Rebellion pay-per-view a long time ago. I think it was in Australia, if I'm not mistaken. And Jericho was out there, and he's like, "Look at all the people here tonight," and they all cheered him, cheered for him just from saying that. And then he said, "And every single one of you is a jackass." And then they start booing him. It's freaking great, So that's what the Miz, to me, he is on that level of a Jericho as far as mic skills go, and you can't deny that. Anyone that denies that is just hating on the Miz, because it's true. He is that good on the mic. I've mentioned this before. Go back and watch Talking Smack last year when he talked some smack to Daniel Bryan. That promo was great, and that really that was like a relaunch of the Miz. Miz is so good because he had himself in the doghouse. He stuck around. He worked through all of it. He worked through the hate, and he made himself a star to where he beat John Cena at WrestleMania, main evented WrestleMania as champion, and then I believe he was top. I think he won 2011 Wrestler of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. 2011, 2010. I could be mistaken. It could be even farther back than that. I'm not sure. I have to check on that, but I know he won a high reward or high acclaim in Pro Wrestling Insider. So, and then he's a multi-intercontinental champion. He's got the third longest reign right now of all time, or holding that title. So, the Miz, and no matter, and I'm sure people are gonna be like, no. But The Miz, he's guaranteed Hall of Fame with what he's done with his career. There's no way you can deny that. You cannot deny The Miz. Like I said, whether you hate him or you love him, you cannot deny that he is Hall of Fame worthy. And that's how I think about The Miz. Jason Jordan, my idea with this, because it's kind of been a flop. It's kind of been a dud, the whole he's Kurt Angle's son thing. I kind of scratched my head. I'm like, what? Really? They're going to go with this? When that was announced, I was like, really? That was the big surprise with Kurt Angle and everything? Jason Jordan, great wrestler, freaking really good. Him and Chad Gable, American Alpha. I love that team. I wish they actually did not split that team up. Which now Gable has Shelton Benjamin, which I think that's awesome that he's back in WWE. Shelton Benjamin's another great wrestler. But Jason Jordan, the crowd's just not clicking with him as a single competitor. So I think what they need to do, and I think this would be freaking awesome. This would be a great way to turn this flop of a storyline into something good. Is you help. You don't have Kurt Angle directly help Jason Jordan, but you kind of have him, helping Jason Jordan along the way to get opportunities. Not in an obvious way, in like a cheapskate way, but kind of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna throw Jordan in this multi, number one contenders match or whatever. Have him do that. Build him back up. Let him get wins, credible wins against top guys. Push him in that sense that he's a legitimate contender because he is an outstanding wrestler. NCAA. He's a great wrestler. So push him to have these victories over top guys, top heels, even against babyfaces. Just have him go against all these top guys, have him win, come out on top, because it's believable. His background, his credentials, should speak for itself. There's no reason why anyone should not believe that he can't just beat anybody on the roster almost, So push him to the top spot. This, of course, you work this out for over a year or so. You don't have him beat Brock Lesnar for the Universal title, but you have him eventually win the Universal title, and then you can get your first ever full-on African-American WWE champion, Universal champion, and then you do the heel turn. You can have the celebration, Jason Jordan with the Universal title out there with Kurt Angle giving this big speech. I'm proud of my son. It's obvious that my blood is in him and all that good stuff. Just have him do the full-blown speech. Praising Jason Jordan, talking about how he's his son, great wrestler, overcame odds, blah, 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 all that good stuff. You have Jason Jordan cut the promo of his life by saying, you know what, Kurt? You're really not my father. I'm not your son. I only had that worked out because I wanted to use you to help me get to the top. You fool. You fell for it, blah, blah, blah. They can totally, God, that would be so awesome if they did that. And it would totally turn this flop of a storyline of Jason Jordan being Kurt Angle's son. It would turn that thing on its head, and then people would really be like, whoa, I didn't see that coming, So a lot of ways they can go with it. Since you've already put it out there, since you already want to put this horrible storyline out there, you might as well try to make something good out of it. So, that's all I got to say about that match. The Miz defeats Jason Jordan, retains Intercontinental Champion. Next match, you had it was billed as man versus man. Why do they... Yeah, so because Finn Balor has the Demon King and Bray Wyatt is, like the Eater of Worlds, a god, a deity, a divine being, and all that good stuff. Which, that's a different subject for a different day. I like to dive in the divinity realm of literature and everything. But Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, actually a pretty good match. Not gonna lie, it was a really good match, straightforward. Bray attacks Balor before the match begins, and then Finn, being the you have the sympathetic babyface who got attacked before the match begins. His ribs are injured. Bray is beaten down on him throughout the match, and then Balor comes back with the coup de grace for the win over Bray Wyatt. Not sure exactly how this is gonna pan out now. Goldust obviously has an issue with Balor, as we saw on Raw, but not too sure. Not too sure about what's going to go on with Balor and Bray. Are they going to continue? Is Bray going to feud with Braun Strowman possibly? Don't know why they would have that happen right now, and I don't know what they're going to actually do with Bray Wyatt anymore because he's so good on the mic, he's good in the ring. He's got that pedigree. His family has been in the business for a while. His father IRS, if all you can remember, and then his uncle Barry Windham. So you would think. His character is a lot different than the Bo Dallas. I could see how, they didn't really stick with the Bo Dallas thing for that long, even though I thought it was great, the Bo Leaf thing, and then him running around the ring every time he won a match, like it was like some unbelievable, feat that he conquered. That was good. Of course, it goes back to the writers. WWE writers are to blame for this. I understand, John Cena went on Edge and Christian's podcast saying that they're lazy and that wrestlers don't do things and ask things, but come on. when you're Cena, it's easy to say that because you can go up to Vince. Vince is more than likely going to listen to your idea and probably go with it, unless he really thinks it's a bad idea. But, you know, when you're a Cena compared to a Bo Dallas doing the same thing, you're probably going to get a lot of pushback from Vince and creative. So, you know, while, you know, I somewhat agree with Cena on that because, you know, that mentality of being lazy and not going after things, you can kind of see that in the real world outside of pro wrestling. I see that at my job every day. Just people that are apathetic, don't care, they don't care anymore, and they're lazy, and they're settled, and they settle with what they have, and they're just cool with it. But, you know, I think the Bo Dallas, with Cena saying that, I feel like guys like Bray Wyatt shouldn't be suffering the same fate as a Bo Dallas with that character. You know, even if let's say that's what Bo Dallas is, you know, Bo Dallas is whatever. I'm fine with being where I'm at, and I'm not trying to do anything more. You know, I'm cool with this paycheck, whatever. But Bray Wyatt has that character. You know, it just has that aura. Well, it did have that aura until, you know, he started talking the big talk, and then they have him, you know, lose every match. Well, you know, I can't say that lose every match. Balor is really the first feud this year that Bray has really, you know, came up short. I mean, he's already beaten Randy Orton. He beat his he beat Rollins. He won that feud. So, you know, he good high profile feuds for Bray Wyatt that he got over on. But, you know, now it's like I know Finn Balor is the first one to kind of win the feud that Bray Wyatt's in for this year for Bray, but it's like, now is it going to be the continuous pattern now? Like, is Bray going to talk the big talk again, go on to fight maybe Braun, and then lose to Braun, come back, interfere in someone else's match, you know, do his whole hocus pocus thing and his talk, you know, his excellent talking, excellent mic work, cutting excellent promos on this guy about how he's going to beat him and vanquish him and destroy him, that he's a god, eater of worlds, blah, 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 only to lose again and again. I hope not, because Bray deserves more. He's a former WWE champion now, because on SmackDown, they actually gave him the opportunity. They ran with Bray Wyatt. They let him get the WWE title. Unfortunately, he lost to Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Or, sorry, Randy Orton. Lost to Randy Orton at WrestleMania. But, you know, we'll see where they go with Bray Wyatt. Really disappointed with that, but, you know, I still hope for the best for Bray. You know, bring back the Wyatt family, because I don't see Luke Harper on there anymore. I don't think he's injured. I know Eric Rowan was supposedly still injured, but come on. You guys, you had such a great faction, popular faction, and you did not know how to handle it, because once again, it goes back to the writers, and I'm sure most of those writers are not even fans of pro wrestling. They're just writers, TV writers, that have no idea what they're doing with the wrestling characters, at least most of them. So, you know, I just hope to see better things from Bray in the future. And the next match was the Raw Tag Team title match. Another great match, excellent match. Really good. That match was just, it was crazy. Really good back and forth with Rollins and Ambrose versus Cesaro and Sheamus the Bar. You know, if you didn't watch it, you really should go back and watch it, because during the point of the match, Ambrose slingshots Cesaro into the corner. Cesaro, you know, the beast that he is, and the seller that he, you know, the seller beast that he is, selling and making his opponents look good, like Dolph Ziggler out there. He I like to say over launched himself, and he landed mouth first onto the corner post of the ring. So not the turnbuckle, not the pad, the steel post, and it pushed his two buck teeth 4 inches up into his gums. At first, I thought he broke half of each tooth off. Like, it looked like half of the teeth were broken off. No, it was 4 inches shoved up into his gums. That had to hurt. And obviously he got surgery on that, so hopefully he's doing okay now. And then Jeff Hardy also injured, not in that match, but, you know, now that we're speaking on injuries, in the tag team division, Cesaro and Jeff Hardy both out with injuries. Jeff Hardy's supposed to have shoulder surgery. Don't know when he's going to return. And Cesaro should be, I'm sure he's going to be on Raw next week. He was on Raw this past week, not really getting involved, of course, because of his, little mouth accident. But hopefully those injuries start to cut down a little bit, because I don't think they need any more injuries here. But that match, great match. I'm loving the little mini Shield reunion with Rollins and Ambrose. Great for the tag team division. The tag team division kind of needed of a boost, at least on the Raw brand, I think. Well, Cesaro and Sheamus were doing a great job, but you have so many other tag teams out there that you should be positioning as credible threats for the title, like Gallows and Anderson, the Club, serious dudes from New Japan who kicked ass in New Japan. So I hate when they go the comedy route, or you're just gonna lose to this team even though you're a serious team and you're serious in New Japan. I can't stand the writers cannot stand them. I should write for WWE, and maybe one day I will. But yeah, so that match, Raw Tag Team Championship match, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins defeat Cesaro and Sheamus The Bar to retain their tag team titles. We'll see where that goes from here. Maybe a Shield reunion coming up. We'll see. And the next match, the Fatal Five Way Raw Women's Championship match. Another good match. The women did a great job in this match. All women, they definitely showcased Nia as the beast, the monster of the women's division. Having her run through everybody, destroying people, throwing people around. Man, good match, good action from all of them. Emma, she's really good in the ring. She's a veteran. She knows what she's doing in there. Bayley, Sasha, Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss, man, for someone who is new to pro wrestling, going to NXT, and then working her way up to the main roster, she has come a long way. She's my she probably is my favorite right now, women's wrestler in WWE and NXT. I do like Sasha Banks still as well. Sasha is probably, I would say, my second favorite. But Alexa Bliss, man, she's really taken that role, and she's excelled. I think, sometimes on the mic, she needs a little work, you can tell. But other than that, she does come off as very confident in what she's doing, and she's a great champion. And now she's going to move on to this feud, which, by the way, she won the Fatal 5-Way match, so she successfully defended her women's championship title. She pinned Bayley to secure the win there. And now it seems like she might have this mini feud with Mickey before the arrival of Asuka. Asuka is set to debut at TLC next month, which is going to be a Raw exclusive pay-per-view. Not sure if they plan on having Asuka debut before that to challenge Alexa, or if they're going to go with Alexa and Mickey fighting for the title on that card, and then maybe Asuka's going to fight, Emma or somebody on that card. So we'll see what happens with that. But other than that, yeah, great match. Look forward to seeing more from all five of them. Nia Jax, I really wish they would just I wish they would just let her loose, just run with it. Let her be the dominant champ too. But you know what? You really can't do that when Asuka's coming, because Asuka is going to dominate that division. She's going to kill everybody. And I just wish it wasn't so, because Nia, I feel, if she was the only dominant monster on the roster, you can go so far with her. You can go really far with someone like that. She's got the size to pull it off. She's the biggest woman on all of the roster of WWE when it comes to the women's wrestlers. Of course, Charlotte is an inch taller than her, but she doesn't weigh as much as Nia. She's not as big as Nia, so why not have your monster be the most dominant woman in the whole division until you bring Ronda Rousey next year? But we'll see how that goes. And next match, main event caliber, WrestleMania caliber type match. Roman Reigns versus John Cena. Wow. Crazy match. Unbelievable. I thought it was over after the second AA, and then wow, that. Yeah, those two tore it down. That, to me, match of the night. Probably match of the night. It was either that or the tag team match. Can't really say, but I think Cena, just because the implications, the passing of the torch type ending that it had, which Roman Reigns defeated John Cena after, I think it was 2 spears only, 2 or 3. It may have been 2 spears. But man, Cena, you know what? I've never been a big fan of him. I was a fan of Cena when he first came up. Not that I cared too much for the prototype, but I was interested. I was like, oh yeah, he seems like he'll be good. And then, when he had the rapper, the Doctor of Thugonomics gimmick, that I love that gimmick. I thought it was awesome. But then, when he became the babyface, goody good two shoe babyface of the company, and when that's all you were getting was John Cena, Super Cena kicking out of 5,000 finishers, and remaining on top. Obviously, from a business perspective, it makes sense why they go with a John Cena, because he really was the only guy that was able to hang up there for that long and carry the company on his shoulders, doing all the Make-A-Wish foundations and all that good stuff. which of course all the other wrestlers do. And if you don't know that, they do. They really all do those Make-A-Wish foundations. John Cena is just their poster boy, for the company. And, of course, that's why he's going to be showcased more on there, because he's the guy that's moving the merchandise. He's the guy that's the face of the company. So, of course, they're always going to showcase him, mainly anyways, compared to the other wrestlers when it comes to those Make-A-Wish foundations. And, but yeah, Cena held his own in that match. He's shown... because he gets a lot of slack. People say you can't wrestle, and I used to, make fun of him for that too, because his 5 moves of doom, like that's all he ever did, as if that was all he ever did. But in all reality, that guy can hang with the best, and he shows that every time. He's proven that. So you know what? Kudos to him on that. I'm not a big fan of him, as a person, just because of the stories you hear from other wrestlers. And I'm pretty sure a lot of those stories are true, just like there, a lot of the stories of the guys that have nothing but good things to say about Cena. I'm sure those stories are true too, but everyone has their side of the story, and on the bad side of the negative stories that you hear about Cena, there's a lot of wrestlers, a lot of wrestlers who seem like they're very honest, who seem like very good people. You can't really, it doesn't really sound like something you would deny or can deny. It just sounds just so genuine, the stories that you hear, whether they're good or bad about Cena, and it's like that part about him is why I really, really despise the fact that he's been on top for as long as he has been. And then, if the stories are true of him holding people back, that just makes it worse. And in my eyes, like, I just think that's stupid. If that's not a real role model right there. That's not a be a star spokesperson, if you ask me. But with all that being said, when it comes down to him being in the ring, being the company guy, you know what? Cena's done it. Gotta admit that, regardless if you're a fan of him or not. And I've admitted it, and I have to admit it because it's the truth. And I love the business, so I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna let my, dislike of, certain characteristics of someone prevent me from admitting, and giving the respect due when it's due. But Roman Reigns, he proved that you can't really say anything bad about Roman Reigns. I mean, yeah, you can boo. Like, I boo because I know the idea that Vince wants, that, he's the next Cena. And then I'm, in my head, it's like, really? He's going to be shoved down our throats for 10 years and be the number one guy, always kicking out of all the finishers and never let anyone win. But you know what, Roman, if there's anyone that can take Cena's spot right now in the WWE, I would say Roman. Roman and guys like AJ Styles and Balor, Bobby Roode, I think all those guys have a chance to do the same. But see, and that's what it comes down to. You got to give those guys the opportunity as well. It's not all about the 6'4", 275-pound guys anymore. It's about all the guys, all the different sizes. So you got to make it about everyone. You can't just put your focus on one guy. Yeah, he might be selling the most merchandise, but don't you want to have 5 John Cenas selling that much merchandise instead of 1? Like, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes Vince, I don't know, maybe he just gets blinded by his love for Cena and the Cena-like guys. But come on, have a character that's on top for everybody that fits everyone's taste, So I don't know about Vince sometimes, but he is successful. I mean, he is the owner of the WWE. He's done this for a long time. He knows what he's doing, because there's a lot of people out there, going back to the Bullet Club fans, the people that think they know it all, the smart guys, because they go on the internet and they read everything, and then they buy Bullet Club shirts from Hot Topic, so they think they know everything and they're cool, and that only what they watch is good wrestling, which that's not true. But it's great wrestling. Bullet Club's great. New Japan's great, all that. But, WWE is great as well, and they've had great moments. Vince creates a lot of great content and program and characters, so you can't deny that he knows what he's doing, because he does know what he's doing. But it just, sometimes I think maybe he just gets too obsessed with some of his ideas that are not great ideas. I think it's more like, I'm just going to go with all my ideas, even the bad ones, and sometimes the bad ones outweigh the good ones. But, we'll see how it goes with Roman Reigns, and I hope they do the right thing with him, because they are talking about a reunion. And The Miz on Raw had Roman Reigns on his on the Miz TV, which I'll talk more about. I'm going to actually do this podcast in 2 different episodes, or not, it's going to be 2 separate episodes. I'm doing the No Mercy recap on this one, and then my next one will be the Raw and SmackDown recap from this week. So, yeah, I'll get more in depth on the Shield talk when I record episode 6 of my podcast, which, I got to release this week, or at least before next Monday. So look for that sometime Saturday or Sunday. But back to the No Mercy results. The next match, so Roman Reigns defeats John Cena. John Cena shakes Roman Reigns' hands. He says something to Roman Reigns' ear, and in his ear. We don't know what he said, but you could tell it was a passing of the torch moment, like Rock to Cena, Hogan to Rock, Andre to Hogan. So I don't think Cena's going to retire, but he's definitely going to be scaling back from being a full-time performer now. I mean, I know he's kind of been doing the part-time thing already, but I think he's going to scale back even more. I think he's going to be more on the Brock Lesnar type schedule now, just because of his interview on Raw Talk after No Mercy, where he was saying, hey, I'm 40 years old, I can't do this full time anymore, and I've realized that, or something like that. He said something along those lines. But yeah, that's what's going to happen, and I think Cena's just going to, he's already going to be filming another show or movie, I think, right now, and then I just read somewhere that he got signed for another movie. So Cena already has his plans in place for after pro wrestling, and it looks like it's going to be movies, showbiz like The Rock, which good for him. Go and do that, and let other guys be on top now. And the next match, Enzo Amore versus Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship. Good match for what it was. Not happy with Enzo going over on Neville. Come on, Neville is the king of the Cruiserweights. He is leagues ahead of Enzo in the ring. Why? Of all guys, I know Enzo got pushed down a little bit. Not making too many people happy backstage. Kind of in the doghouse, getting kicked off the bus and everything. Or out of the locker room. And I don't know if this is like, hey, we still have hope for you, so we need to, rejuvenate you a little bit here. Give you that spark again. But man, ever since like guys like The Miz and Cass ran down Enzo on TV, it's like that's just buried him, and people actually start to boo some of his one-liners and his little sayings and stuff. I mean, he still gets everyone chanting, when he comes out my name is Enzo Amore. He still has people doing that. But, man, it just seems a lot of people are more booing him now. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Not much to touch on that. I didn't see 205 Live, so I don't know the results of that. I don't know if Neville has already asked for his rematch or not. That's once again why I want to do a separate podcast for the Raw and SmackDown recap, because I'm thinking I'm going to do a full-on podcast for Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and 205 Live, if I can do that this week. So look out for that podcast. And the final match on No Mercy, the Universal Championship match. Brock Lesnar defeats Braun Strowman for the Universal title. It was an okay match. It wasn't that great, actually. It wasn't that great. Kind of slow-paced. Braun dominated the match pretty much for the most part. And Brock Lesnar beats Braun Strowman after one F5. Which is kind of weird because Braun Strowman has been built to be this big, huge monster. I mean, he took quite a few suplexes, actually. A lot of suplexes, actually. And, he took all those suplexes and then one F5, and it was one and done. So, Brock Lesnar is still your Universal Champion now. Don't know where they're going next with it. Maybe Finn Balor at Survivor Series, I can think. I don't know who else would be, as far as star power goes, I don't know who else you can put in there that he hasn't faced already. He already fought Samoa Joe, beat Samoa Joe. He's beaten Braun. He's beaten Roman. He's beaten Randy, even though Randy's on SmackDown. But, he's beaten everyone there is to beat. So Finn Balor is someone he has not fought yet. So that could be very interesting. I would love to see that. I think it would be a good match. They can do the whole David Goliath thing. But Finn Balor versus Brock could be a plan at Survivor Series. I still want to go with my original plan that I talked about, where you have Finn Balor, and I talked about this on my first or second podcast, where you have Finn Balor win the Rumble, you have him challenge Lesnar at Mania, and then you just have them unleash the club, full on unleash the club. Maybe they have a few more club members signed by then, and you just have them attack, have the referee knocked out or whatever, or maybe a no DQ match or whatever it may be, and you have the club hit the ring, attack Brock Lesnar, they destroy him, they lay the beast out, and then, that's Finn Balor fully going full-blown heel, and just letting loose on the club gimmick, the whole club, the Balor Club. It could be called the Balor Club because he was, one of the founding members of the Bullet Club. And let him run wild with the club. Let them just dominate, run shop at WWE on Raw. And then, maybe you can have AJ Styles start his own club on SmackDown, and it can be like they're competing against each other or they're competing with each other because they want to dominate WWE and the whole wrestling world. But that would be cool. I think it would be better than just the predictable of what we all know that's probably going to happen. Roman Reigns winning the Rumble and then challenging Lesnar at Mania and beating Lesnar for the title, which is probably what's going to happen. Hope not. I hope they go a different route, but, we'll see. And we'll see. Maybe the Shield, if they get the Shield back together, maybe that's going to change those plans too. Or, you do the same thing. Rollins and Ambrose are tag team champions. Maybe they help. Maybe you hold the Shield reunion off until then. You have Roman go win the Rumble. You have Roman fighting Lesnar. Ambrose and Rollins come out. They help Roman beat Lesnar, and then that's the Shield getting back together. They're all champs, and they're all, they end the night of Mania holding their titles up in the air, which I would love to see either option that I just presented, because my wife and I, we're going to go to WrestleMania in New Orleans next year for our honeymoon. It's going to be great. We're really excited for that. Can't wait for that. So that's going to wrap up this podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry it's a little longer than the other ones. I just haven't done this in a while, so I wanted to get a good lengthy podcast out there and run down a lot of information of things that's going on with Master CDP Studios and the Destiny 2 realm and the wrestling world. Right now, I'm actually going to get ready here to head out to my boxing lessons. So I can't wait to do that because, for me, that's the start of my journey to becoming a pro wrestler, is getting in boxing shape so then I can be in pro wrestling shape. So I can't wait to do that, and I'll share more of that with you guys as the weeks go on and as I do more of the classes. So I'm actually going to get ready to leave here. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and give this video a like if you liked it. Give it a thumbs up and tell your friends and family. Stay tuned to my channel because I'm always going to have content like podcasts, tutorials in Studio One, Destiny 2 live streams, and music that I create. So I hope you guys like everything you hear on the podcast and on my channel. With that being said, this is Chris with Master CDP Studios. Thank you for listening to the podcast sessions. Stick around.